is with him now.
Well, Tommy Kendall learned that you not only have to be the fastest qualifier, you also have to be the most efficient when it comes to paperwork. That was his problem on this particular weekend. Tommy Kendall in the car right now. What happened? Why aren't you starting up in the front row?
Well, I've gotten in a little trouble at school before when I don't get my paperwork in, but never anything like this. So I guess this is the equivalent of staying after school. It's a bit of a shame. You know, everyone knows the ICI Elevated car. It's definitely the class of the field so far, at least in qualifying.
What'd you do wrong?
We did not get our declaration papers in 2 hours before qualifying. We got them in about an hour, and it states it in the rule book 2 hours. So we missed it by a little bit, and so we have to start 6th.
Tommy Kendall starting 6th, getting ready to make his charge. Larry?
Unfortunately for Tommy, rules are rules, and you have to have some order in all this chaos.
Yes, you know, the regulations are there, and the drivers have to obey them, and the teams have to get, you know, their time cards in time.
Well, Rick has now moved over to our pole setter, and as we mentioned earlier, it's Irv Hare.
The wild card in all this today is the weather. It rained earlier today, and as a result, the track is still wet. And as you can see behind me, the clouds are out there. There is still a possibility of rain. That is going to affect how the racers are going to be treating this race. Irv Hare is starting on the pole, as you mentioned. Question is, do you start on rain tires or dry tires?
Well, the way it sits right now, if it doesn't actually start to rain before the start, we're going to start on dries and hope it stays dry. You know, the weather's everybody's best guess, and if you make the right decision, you're a hero when it's over, and if you don't, you're a schmuck. And, you know, I don't know any weatherman that can forecast the weather, so we'll just have to give it our best guess here.
Irv Hare starting on the pole here in Dallas.
The other major story this weekend is the weather. It's been a downpour all week. Race day has dawned hot and very muggy, and there is thunder in the sky. We'll be back with the starting grid after this. Here at Addison, Texas, we are now ready for the third race on the 1990 SCCA Trans Am Championship Series. And all those shiny spots you see, yes, we have just had a rain shower, a good dousing before this pace lap rolled off. And this really emphasizes the delicate nature of driving on a street course. We expect to see a lot of cars sliding around and probably a number of spins and near spins in the first few laps. Let's go down for you now the starting grid here in race number 3. Starting on the pole, not the fastest qualifier, the man many thought might become the champion this year is Irv Hare. On the outside is one-time winner Paul Gentilozzi from Lansing, Michigan. Row number 2 is made up of young and aggressive and exciting Scott Sharp from Wilton, Connecticut, and Max Jones. He has moved over to the Roush cars. He has 1 career win. The third row, side by side, are Darren Bradfield. He has a win so far this year, and Tommy Kendall. He was the overall fastest qualifier. Row number 4, 7th and 8th start, car number 47, Ron Fellows from Canada. He was a winner a year ago, and Bob Sobey. His best race of 1989 was right here. In the 5th row, in 9th and 10th position, side by side, are Dick Danielson, the most improved driver from 1989, and Scott Lagasse making his Trans Am debut today here at Addison.
Yes, Larry, right now, due to the rainstorm, we have a little bit of a wet-dry situation. 80% of the racetrack looks dry, and that's mainly the concrete areas, which seem to dry quicker than asphalt. And then very, very wet in turn 9, and again wet in turn 14. So under braking, it's going to be pretty tough.
Here is what the course looks like. As you can see, it is a 14-turn course. Turn 1, 2, they are still on the airport. Then we lead into the southern section of the racetrack, turns 3, 4, 5, around the post office, onto the backstretch. Turn 6 leads on to Addison Road. The bus stop makes up 4 corners, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The end of the backstretch, a left-hander onto the Airport Parkway, and along Airport Parkway are turns 11, 12, 13, and 14. And turn 14 heads the cars for home. They go back to the airport, right on the throttle, trying to stay on the throttle all the way around, because once they get off of that taxiway, they have a hard 90-degree corner to make. As you can see, the cars are on the backstretch, turning onto the Airport Parkway. They are anticipating a green flag this time. Now, we had the rain moments before we flagged the cars off in the pace lap, and we've been told that 9 cars are on rain tires, and the rest, the majority of the field, is on slicks. Now, among the cars on rain tires, up front, Scott Sharp, he starts in 3rd in the red, white, and blue Olds Cutlass number 33, and Tom Kendall. He was the fastest qualifier in today's race. Now, we anticipate a green flag this time. The pace car pulls off the track. The field approaches the Addison Airport. They're on the taxiway. They're looking up to the flagman, anticipating green flag. Will it be this time? The green flag is out, and the third race of the 1990 series is underway.
And we got Scott Sharp, who's trying to get through the inside, although Irv Hare definitely took the lead.
Irv Hare leads the field into turn number 1. Scott Sharp is second. Right now in the third position is Darren Brasfield. Remember, he was one of our 2 winners so far in 1990.
Yes, we're still sort of just going through the turns here.
There you see the field coming through the S's there in the south end of the racetrack. Everybody getting through in fine fashion. You see the beautifully painted yellow, white, and blue Berettas. They are painted that way to resemble the Formula One cars, the Williams team. As the field moves onto the backstretch, Irv Hare, our pole sitter, continues to hold the lead.
And
they move into the bus stop. Hare continues to hold on. There is Scott Sharp running in second position in the red, white, and blue number 33. He has never won one of these Trans Am races. He is hungry for a victory. This young driver spent the majority of the 1989 season running up front. He has the line on Hare. Hare tries to close the door. He threads the needle going onto the Airport Parkway, and Irv Hare just barely holds onto the lead.
yes, Irv's coming into turn 14 now with Scott Sharp right on his heels. Turn 14 is pretty tough. It's a little wet, so they have to be careful through there.
For the first time, back out onto the front straightaway, the taxiway at the Addison Airport, and Irv Hare has really opened up a lead. You see a pass and developing for second place. That is Darren Brasfield. He goes to the inside of Sharp.
Yeah, Darren's really hungry after his win at Sears Point. This guy just wants to get out front and win this race and get some more points.
This race will be 80 laps, and unlike many of the Trans Am races, a pit stop is required. Yes, required. The cars probably could go the distance without a pit stop, but in this race today, the rules say you must stop once. They cannot stop inside the first 12 laps of the race, and that's when we will start to see the strategy unfold. Darren Brasfield, our new second place car. Brasfield says that he is not going to do any running in Indy cars. We've had an early pit stop here. Brasfield says he will not do any early or any running in Indy cars or anything else this year. He's going to concentrate. The number 69 is Troy Waldron. He is a local driver from Houston, Texas, and he is our first casualty. It remains to be seen whether or not it's terminal for today's Trans Am race. Irv Hare has led the early laps here in Addison, Texas, and we'll follow him after these few words. Back at Addison, Texas, where the Trans Am cars are flying around this half street course, half airport course.
Irv Hare still leading the race. Now we have Scott Sharp and we have Tommy Kendall trying to and he got through.
That's Kendall. He's been the man on the move the past couple of circuits. We're still early into this race. We had the rain shower, and with these cars out there, these heavy cars, just swashbuckling around the racetrack, they have dried this out, and the people who made the decision to go to rain tires have to be second-guessing that. Although I will tell you that our information just before this race went green was that Tommy Kendall had switched to rain tires. Now we're still in a fight in the top 10. The number 7 car on the inside, that is Paul Gentilossi. He is trying to find a way. Now he finds himself on the outside around Sharp. Gentilossi, Sharp, and moving to the inside is Ron Fellows. There are 4 cars battling for 4th.
We also have Max Jones in that little pack. Max has just got past Gentilossi.
Scott appears to be, Scott Sharp, that is the slowest car in that pack, and perhaps it is a matter of him being on rain tires while everybody else is on slicks. The slicks work better as the track dries out. Yeah, I know there's no tread, but they are designed to run at high speeds and at high temperatures.
Yeah, Scott Sharp's definitely in a lot of trouble right now. I expect a pit stop to change tires. The Berettas, although they're supposedly on wets, I think they're on the intermediate tires, which are a lot better than the wet weather tires.
Yeah, the intermediate tires, we might talk a little bit about that as we watch Chris Neifel working on Scott Sharp. There goes Neifel. He's going to move to your right, driver's left, as they enter this final turn coming from the backstretch. The black car in the background there, that was Robert Lapalane, and he moves underneath last year's most improved driver, Dick Danielson.
Yeah, these intermediate tires are basically slicks that are hand cut, but not quite as much tread as the normal wet weather tires, and they can run for a while.
There's Lapalane moving underneath Sharp now. And there's Danielson moving around Scott Sharp. Boy, he's in trouble, Desiree.
Yeah, he definitely has to stop. I mean, he just can't keep us up.
Of course, he has to wait until we're 12 laps into this race before he can make his pit stop. So right now, he's in a position where he can do nothing except protect his position as best as he can.
We're back at the leader, Irv Hare. with Darren Brassfield right on his heels. Darren's really hungry to win this race, and he's sticking with him all the way.
Now you see the cars moving through the north end of the racetrack, the North S's now back out into the taxiway, and Darren Brassfield looks like he is hungry for hair. Now, he looks like he may have the line. This is a left-hander coming up. Darren has the line. It's going to be an easy pass, and Darren Brassfield, who won on his home court at Sears Point the last race, is looking for number 2.
That was a very strange move on Irv's part. He moved over to the left-hand side, whereas normally you would keep the guy blocked. It was just a little strange, and he let Darren just slip down the inside real easily.
We asked Darren Brassfield about his season so far and his strategy for this race, and he's having a great one, incidentally.
Well, you know, in Phoenix we had a little bit of bad luck, and you know, after coming off of Sears and the win, we're riding a little bit of a wave, and we hope we can carry that excitement and a little bit of the hype into this race. You know, Dallas is always tough when you have a pit stop race and the heat and everything here in Dallas, but I think we look good here. You know, I think that a good finish is what I need to stay in the point race.
Something to keep in mind as Brassfield now moves up on the 04 car of Jim Pallas, another reasonably local driver from Austin, Texas. And Jim did not give Darren any room that way, and Jim slides out of the groove. He was driving in his rearview mirrors, and he tried to give Darren enough room as they went into turn number 1, and he overcooked him just a bit, Desiree.
Yeah, just a little bit of inexperience there. Should have let the lead car go by, but didn't have a chance. But Darren's just doing a good job in pulling away from Irv.
We are approaching that point in the race when the drivers are now allowed to make the one and only pit stop that is required in this race. They are not required to stop on lap 12, but anytime after lap 12 they can stop. So the drama and the strategy is about to unfold. We'll be back after this.
SCCA Pro Racing, taking you on the ultimate road trip.
There is Darren Brassfield. This driver has enormous experience for a young man. Darren Brassfield is just 27 years of age, but he's been in GTP cars. He's been in IMSA cars. He has been in Indy cars. There is the second running Irv Hare, and Darren Brassfield says this year he is going to concentrate on Trans Am. Third is Tommy Kendall. He has just gone through your screen. We're waiting for fourth place. Fourth place coming up. There it is, the number 47 car. That is Ron Fellows, the Canadian driver who won in 1989.
And there's Gentilozzi trying to get past the Motorcraft car. And I think that, no, Ron Fellows has taken the right back from him.
They're moving to the south end of this racetrack. There you see the sweeper, the number 7 car of Paul Gentilozzi. He won a race. It was a surprise 2 years ago in 1988 when Gentilozzi, who's been another one of those SCCA club drivers for over 20 years, when he won in 1989, he expected to do a little better. That was, by the way, Max Jones, who had gotten around Paul Gentilozzi. And Gentilozzi and Max Jones, they come together there in turn number 6, and Gentilozzi actually gave Maxie nowhere to go.
Yeah, he gave him absolutely, you know, Gentilozzi just dived up the inside, gave Max nowhere to go, but Max was hard on the brakes, and you could see he locked up and he slipped straight on. That's Scott Sharp coming to the pits. Must be right now. He's going to do his tire change as well as Irv Hare. So this is an interesting section. We're going to watch the pits.
Okay, here it is. The strategy begins to present itself before us. Irv Hare stops right behind the flag stand, so you can't see the work going on there. You see Jack Baldwin's in the pits. Tommy Kendall, his crew gets him and out in good fashion. Here's Rick DeBrule down in the pits.
Well, this was the big gamble. Scott Sharp decided to go on those rain tires, but there's one problem associated with that. SCCA will only allow one air hose. So to change the tires, they have to do each tire at a time, and it takes a long time. Coupled with that, they've had a problem with the right rear. They can't seem to get it off, so Scott Sharp is in trouble here in the pits.
This race may not necessarily be won or lost in the pits, but it's going to have a dramatic effect on it.
Yeah, I guess it looks like, you know, Tommy didn't change his tires. He's happy on his intermediates. The other 2 cars must have been on wet weather tires, and they just had a change.
So Tom Kendall has made the decision to stay on intermediates. Darren Brassfield stays out front. He stays as the leader in the race, but We are past that point that allows you to make the pit stops, and with all the other top drivers in, it is a bit of a surprise that Darren Brasfield has not come in. Although, Desiree, it's often a matter of monkey see, monkey do. Once the first top guys come in, everybody says, hey, I guess we better do it too.
Yeah, so far we haven't had any serious, yellow pace flags, and by now Darren's probably thinking, well, is it time to come in? I would think that Darren is on dry tires, so I think it would just be a fuel stop.
Robert Lapalainen of Finland won the other street course in 1990 on the Trans Am Series. Let's see what this street course in Addison, Texas looks like from his point of view. Lapalainen is in trouble. And Robert Lapalainen has crashed hard.
Oh, what a pity. Robert's high up in the championship and really needs some points, and looks like he's had quite a mess of his car.
We've had 2 races this year, and Robert Lapalainen was one of the race winners. You can see him moving around in the car, but the concrete on a street course just does not give. There is the race leader, 1/4 of the way in, that bright red number 5 Rocket Sport Oldsmobile of Darren Brasfield. Darren Brasfield took the lead from early race leader and pole sitter Irv Hare, and he has led since then. Now, all the other top contenders have pitted except Darren. Everybody is required to stop at least once in this race, but there's no requirement as to which lap it must be.
Well, the situation here in the Brasfield pit is they actually want Darren to come in, but for some reason, he has been staying out. They're not sure whether there's a radio problem, but they have flashed in the pit sign a number of times, so they want him in. He just hasn't arrived yet.
Running second right now is Paul Gentilossi, Brasfield's teammate, and in third, the pole sitter Irv Hare. Fourth is car number 47, Canadian Ron Fellows. Irv Hare was second in point standings the last 2 years, so we asked him about this season. Has it been disappointing?
Yeah, we've had some kind of offbeat things happen to us this year, and I think we're really faster than we've shown. We didn't really get a chance to race at Phoenix. And then at Sonoma, we had a problem with the fuel injection system that wouldn't allow us to get up to speed all during the race. So I think we're a lot faster than people realize, and I'm really looking forward to this race here at Dallas.
And now Kendall goes to work on the Roush Mustang with Ron Fellows behind the wheel. Let's watch this one and see if Kendall looks like he's closed some ground on Ron.
Yeah, they're coming to the bus stop over the little bump there, and whoops, we have another number 73 has just hit the wall.
Brett Kaufman, who is a Trans Am regular, he has been with this series the past 5 seasons, goes into a spin coming on to the backstretch. That's and the second half of the backstretch.
We have an overtaking maneuver.
Kendall has moved in. Tom Kendall now has moved into the 4th position. We'll be back after this. Leader, Darren Brasfield, completing lap number 32, showing no signs of coming in for a pit stop. Brasfield leads this. Irv Hare, the man many felt would be the champion in 1990, currently runs in 3rd and still behind Paul Gentilossi, this man's teammate who has not pitted yet. So teammates have elected to remain out front. And in 4th right now in car number 01 is Tommy Kendall. The sweeper, Gentilossi with that damage up front does not seem to be slowing him down. He has been able to stave off Irv Hare, but I would imagine, Desiree, that Irv figures, hey, I know because my crew has told me that Gentilossi, you have not pitted yet. I really don't need to beat you or to pass you to win this race. The man I'm really thinking about is Darren Brasfield, the number 5 car that's leading. So I would imagine that Irv at this moment is probably reasonably content to stay there.
Yes, Irv's in a really good position because both cars in front of him have to pit, and although he's not really catching Darren Brasfield at this stage, he doesn't need to because Darren still has to pit.
And now our leader finally does come in, Desiree.
Yes, I guess he's going to stop for fuel. I'm just checking to see if he's doing anything on the tires. Sure doesn't look like he's changing any tires. He's just happy with gas. 2nd place stays out. That's Paul Gentilossi, teammate. The big question is Hare. Hare is out on course. He'll be ripping around there, trying to get back around before Darren Brasfield comes out. Now, we did not see Hare in that shot. Unknown at this point whether or not he is out on course. Darren Brasfield is back. It was a very routine pit stop. I believe that Paul Gentilosi's taken the lead of the race.
And there's Hare right in the background, so I believe that Hare did get out before Brassfield. If so, even though Gentilosi right now is being shown as the leader of this race, Irv Hare right behind him. In actuality, because he has completed his pit stop, he is in effect leading.
Yes, not quite on the, he's not leading on the racetrack, but yes, he has a good chance.
And there is Darren Brassfield. Darren finds himself in third place, and now this becomes a race within a race because Brassfield knows who his most stiff competition is. It's going to be that white blue trim number 15, Irv Hare.
Yeah, Irv Hare is going to have to really drive hard. Brassfield had a fantastic pit stop. Just didn't take very much time, and he's right there, and I think by now Irv Hare knows about it. His team's told him that he's going to have to really get on the gas. We
continue to wait for that final decision from the Paul Gentilosi Oldsmobile Rocket Sports team as to when will he come in. Here's Rick.
Mark Strickton, the crew chief for Paul Gentilosi. Some of the other cars pitted right away at that 14th lap. You guys have stayed out longer. Why?
We're anticipating some rain possibly later on, and maybe we'll combine our fuel stop with our tire change.
We're playing a strategy game?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
The halfway point has been reached. Gentilosi, yeah, he's being shown on the scoring charts as the leader, but he has not stopped yet, and a pit stop is mandatory. The heavy traffic is slowing down second and third running. Darren Brassfield takes a look to the inside of Irv Hare. They're three abreast momentarily going into the turn onto the airport parkway, but just not quite enough room for Brassfield to get by.
And right now, we also have Tommy Kendall who's catching this bunch. Everybody's getting held up in traffic, and Tommy Kendall's coming through. So we should have a really good race on our hands right now.
Boy, the excitement and the drama is really beginning to build here. Irv Hare is doing all he can to hold back the rapidly rising Darren Brassfield. Brassfield looks to the inside of that turn number 2 one more time, just like he did a lap ago. It's beginning to look like he thinks that might be the place where he can make the pass, Desiree.
He keeps looking there, but he might just be trying to distract Irv, because to be honest, it's not the place to overtake.
He may have in mind something else, right?
Yeah, he could be just, trying to upset Irv and say, hey, I can drive anywhere on the racetrack. Get out of my way.
Jimmy Landrum moves over and allows second and third running to get through as they go into the bus stop. And Darren Brassfield dirt tracks to the bus stop. It's a quick left-right flick, now a right-left flick. Back to the back straightaway.
Darren really has to start setting up this whole area right now, because there's no place to overtake between now and turn 14. And he's got to just be patient and get him in turn 14. This is a very fast section of the North Sweeps. I think he'll make an attempt if he gets a good run onto the main straight.
On the main straight as we expected, and Brassfield, he finds the door. The door opens. Irv Hare moved over for some unknown reason, going into turn 14. Are you surprised?
Yes, I'm surprised, because that's a really tough place to overtake. And I guess Irv didn't think maybe Darren was going to come by, and Darren just got in there. And we have another accident.
Jerry Clinton coming together with somebody right here on the main straightaway, and Clinton's car is disabled, or no, he's got to back up to speed. I see fender work flapping. Pieces of fiberglass are flying all over the track. Jerry Clinton is obviously a disgruntled race driver. We'll be back after this.
For 1990, some Oldsmobiles are new from the ground up. Others are new from the top down. Some have striking new profiles, while others have bold new side views. Some new Oldsmobiles are at home in front of mansions, and others are at home in front of everything else.
This is the new generation.
The explosive action of NASCAR racing, the pulse-pounding excitement and red-line thrills. It's all there in Paramount Pictures' Days of Thunder, the motion picture event of the summer starring Tom Cruise, opening at theaters everywhere June 27th. A story of speed and endurance, passion and courage. And now you can be there too, trackside with the best stock car drivers in the world. Just enter the Days of Thunder sweepstakes from Prime.
Addison, Texas, where the Trans Am cars are flying around this half street course, half airport course, and Darren Brassfield, who looked like he was the driver in control of this race, you heard Desiree point that out, before he took the lead from Irv Hare, has dropped out of the race. Rick DeBrule is down pit side.
Well, Darren Brassfield had a great run going today. What happened?
Well, something went wrong. The Near Life Oldsmobile was running great early on, and like any time, you know, you're going to turn it hard all day long, you're going to be acceptable to an engine failure, and we had something break inside the motor. I don't know if it's electrical or could be a piston or a valve. We're not sure right now.
Any indication at all, or just go?
No, all the gauges look good, and just something let go coming out of the S's over here, 13 and 14.
From a climate standpoint, this has been one of the worst race weeks in terms of the conditions that you can expect. We had torrential rains all week before we got into the weekend, even on Saturday. Then race day on Sunday dawn, it was hot, it was humid, very uncomfortable. We had rain just before the green flag dropped, actually before the pace lap. It's not been a pleasant day, although the action has been pretty good through the streets here in Addison, Texas. You are looking at the race leader, Paul Gentilozzi. Now, Gentilozzi is the only one among the leading cars that has not come in for his mandatory pit stop. We are 50 laps of the race. We don't think there's any problem of running out of fuel, but Desiree, speculation as to what might be going on inside of Paul Gentilozzi's helmet.
Well, you know, he could be waiting for that yellow flag. If we have an incident, wait for the yellow flag and then go into the pits and pit under yellows. I don't think he needs tires because he really doesn't have the time ahead of the other drivers to change tires and come out ahead of them. But he definitely has to go in for gas. And
coming in right now is a surprise. That's Tom Kendall. He has made his pit stop. He was running right behind Irv Hare, third place on the track. You can see the front end dragging. It appears as though he may have a flat tire up there, Desiree.
Yeah, it looks like that front, he has a flat on the front right hand. It'll be interesting to see if he just changes the one tire or change all of them.
There is Paul Gentilozzi. He continues to lead this race now with 52 laps officially complete. Running in second place officially is Irv Hare, and third place is likely the number 2 car of Max Jones. Now, he was the last one being shown in fourth position behind Tom Kendall, so Max Jones likely will move up to third. In fourth position could well be Bob Sobey in car number 55. We say could be because timing and scoring is still scrambled from all of the pit stops. Tom Kendall is now back out, and Rick DeBrule is down pit side.
Well, quick update on the Tommy Kendall situation. Apparently, he got a little over-anxious on the track, hit a curb, bent the rim. As a result, the tire went down. That's why he had to come in, change that so he get back out in the race.
Yeah, Tommy Kendall somehow, however, still seems to be running in third position.
And finally, Gentilozzi makes the turn. He makes that hard left-hander. Let's see how he plays it now. He had lost that track space to Irv Hare, and Rick is standing by in Gentilozzi's pit.
Paul Gentilozzi making that pit stop that he's been holding off for so long, enjoying the lead that he had. Team puts in the 5 gallons of fuel and sends him off. A picture-perfect pit stop for Paul Gentilozzi.
Back with Irv Hare. Irv Hare races into the south end of the track. That long sweeper, it's the most open-ended, the biggest radius corner in the track. It's the kind of turn that race drivers really like because you can race through it, you can drive through it. The race driver right there, Desiree, really makes a difference.
Oh, yes, you know, that particular turns 4, 5, and going into 6 are so difficult because it's basically you just a little lift out of 3 under the bridge and then flat in 4th gear all the way through the fast turns. And, you know, only the bravest of people can keep their feet flat down on the gas pedal.
Well, Irv Hare, just a little bit of comment for Irv and his family had they been tuned into this TV broadcast. For the past 2 seasons, the driver who has won here at Addison or in Texas, the Grand Prix of Texas at Dallas, Dallas-Fort Worth area, that driver has gone on to become the season champion. So maybe that's a good omen for Irv Hare. But of course, he hasn't won this yet. Things are looking real good right now.
Oh, right now, you know, he's got quite a lead on Gentilozzi. And it's going to be a really tough drive for Gentilozzi to catch Irv under these circumstances.
Tony Brosso from Walla Walla. Make that Wagga Wagga. That's in Australia, that bright yellow and white number 57, right now living in Bargersville, Indiana. But Wagga Wagga was his original hometown, and Brosso goes a lap down to Irv Hare. Point leader Chris Neifel, who came into the race here at Addison. Remember, we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Leading the points, Chris has had a blown engine, and he is now out of it. Irv Hare finds many of his top adversaries dropping by the wayside like flies. And Desiree, this could turn out to be the easiest Trans Am in the career of Irv Hare. And there is Chris Neifel, a dejected Chris Neifel. Yes, if he looks tall, it's because he is 6'6", and he scrimmages with the Chicago Bulls in the offseason.
Yeah, you can see Chris is very, very upset, making little U-turns and turning around and walking backwards and forwards, although he may just have forgotten to switch something off in the car. But he's a very disappointed fellow. I mean, leading a championship, that's the last thing you want to do is fall out. You don't mind if you don't win this time, you can always come back. But I spoke to him early on, and he said that, watch for me in the race. My car's just really working well now, and I'm going to be moving up from my 13th grid position.
The man whose car has really been working well is this white, red and blue trim number 15 Herb Hare. Incidentally, we are racing half on an airport here in Addison, Texas, and half on the city streets. Right now, Herb Hare is out into the city of Addison as he goes down Addison Drive, appropriately enough. But this airport is active right now. Unlike when the Indy cars run at Burton Lakefront in Cleveland, the airport is shut down. This airport is open, and it is not at all uncommon for aircraft, small aircraft, to land and take off while this race is underway. And part of the track is on taxiways, and turn number 1 and turn number 2 actually cross the main runway. There is Herb Hare moving through the north end of the track, through the north S's as we call them. He approaches turn 14, the final turn on this course, goes on to the taxiway and completes yet another lap. Now, our next race on Prime Network is in the streets of Detroit. And a year ago on the streets of Detroit was perhaps the darkest, or maybe you'd call it the brightest moment for Herb Hare. The car caught on fire the first lap of the race, and had there not been any emergency crews, that car would have burned to the ground. It was a fuel line problem, and it was a big fire. We'll be back after these words. No challenge for position from the back, and Herb Hare appears to have things in hand for this race. Let's check in with Dad, Rudy.
Rudy Hare, not only the crew chief, but the father of Herb Hare. What's his status this late in the race?
We're looking pretty good right now. He's about +18 to Paul in second. We got about 39 seconds on Kendall in third.
Any problems at all with the car that Herb is reporting?
None at all. If the weather holds, it's looking pretty good. Don't have any mechanical problems. Right now, it's looking real good.
That man, the pole setter Herb Hare. He was not the fastest qualifier this weekend at Addison because of a clerical mix-up. Tommy Kendall, even though he had been quickest this weekend, he could only start 6th. That was the highest he was allowed to start because he simply hadn't filled out the necessary forms that validated his entry. Then Darren Brassfield took over the lead from Herb Hare. Brassfield appeared to be the superior car in the race, although he never really shook Herb Hare. Both Brassfield and Herb Hare pitted, giving the lead to the man on the screen right now. That was Brassfield's teammate, Paul Gentilossi. Gentilossi stayed out an abnormally long time before he made his pit stop. And when he did make his pit stop, he found himself running behind Brassfield and Hare. And by that time, Tommy Kendall had also reasserted himself in the number 01 Barretto. Kendall never really moved back up to a place to challenge for the lead because he had a flat tire. But Kendall is now moving up to Gentilossi, and he is challenging for the runner-up spot.
Yeah, we have a really interesting situation right in front of us now. Kendall's trying to get into that second spot.
And Kendall does it. He finds room on the inside, Desiree.
That was a marvelous move. I think that Gentilossi, right at that particular time, was having a look at the cars around him, the back markers that he was trying to pass. And Kendall was just ready and just slipped by. He found a gap and he was through.
Kendall is an amazing story as he's following that hoodless Ron Fellows, which it was a number 47, but right now it looks like because the number has been torn off. But Kendall, amazing story. He's had a great race. He's had one extra pit stop to everybody else.
Yeah, I think what happened there is that Rob Fellows actually put his nose right in next to Gentilossi, who backed out of it, and all of a sudden, Kendall took the advantage at the same time. Now, he's left Kendall by here, which is a little strange because he was running so well a few minutes ago and looked as if, he could stay up with the guys, but I guess Tommy's just putting on that pressure.
Well, it is possible that a couple of things. We told you it's a very hot, demanding day here in Addison, Texas. Gentilossi, he could be tiring in the cockpit. That is possible. This is an 80-lap race, a little longer than most Trans Am races. It could also be something that has gone amiss in that car. He was running that car very hard for the first hour, Desiree. It's possible the tires have gone away, but in either case, Tom Kendall has just left Gentilossi in the dust. 4 laps remain. 76 laps officially have been completed. Hare is the leader. Tom Kendall runs second. Gentilossi is now struggling to hold on to third position. Max Jones is going to be chomping at the bit, trying to move up. As you see, Irv Hare, our race leader in heavy traffic, he's working on Les Lindley right now. The man with the white beard who almost won on the streets of Long Beach a year ago, and a veteran Trans Am competitor.
It's very strange that Les wasn't quite as competitive this weekend as we normally see him. And, you know, here Irv's working at him to get by, but Les is normally much more competitive.
And Irv Hare, the veteran that he is kind of taking his time as he is in heavy traffic right now and no challenge for position from the back. And Irv looks to the high side of Lindley. This is a right-hander. Les gives him room. Brakes probably a little sooner than normal, Desiree, wouldn't you say, and allows the leader to go by.
Yes, I think, you know, Les realized it was Irv and he was leading the race, and Les just moved over and let him by, you know, like a gentleman.
3 laps from the end. This looks like Irv Hare's race, but you never know. We're on a temporary road course. Back with the finish after this.
When choosing a new car, don't compromise. Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme SL is longer and wider, yet accelerates faster than Ford Taurus. It's more powerful, yet gets better highway gas mileage than Honda Accord. And it has a better owner satisfaction plan than both.
SCCA. We make racing happen. To get involved, call for membership information. Toll free, 1-800-255-5550.
Like wet sands in an hourglass, the laps and the turns are going by for Irv Hare. We say wet sands because they stick, they move slow, it just happens agonizingly. Up to this point in the race, if you're fighting with somebody or working on your pit strategy or trying to conserve tires, things happen pretty quickly in the cockpit. But Desiree, when you're way out front all by yourself like this, it's agonizing, isn't it?
You know, it's so strange. You drive your heart out. You drive as hard as you possibly can to lead this race. And then when those last few laps come around, you say to yourself, now, I want to conserve the car. I want to take it easy because I want to finish this race. But at the same time, the minute that you start backing out of it just that little bit, you can lose concentration because now all of a sudden other things are going through your mind. And sometimes it's not a good idea to actually slow down on the last few laps.
And when you're watching a race on television, the television camera always robs some of the speed. Things are happening so quickly out there. You're watching Irv Hare trying to work his way through slower traffic right now at maybe to 70, 80, 90, suddenly up to 120 miles an hour. You brake hard to make this left-hander. You drop down to 70. There's traffic all around you. You go through the S's. You drop the accelerator down. You can go very quickly through there. And the next thing that happens is straightaway pops up and you're expected to go 130.
Yeah, you just have to be so careful. You know, this section right now, just a few laps to go. You want to get through the cars that you're lapping, but at the same time, you have to be so careful that one of those guys is perhaps not going to see you and run into you because you're just so close to winning now.
Now, just a few turns to go as lap number 79 goes into the books. We're on the last lap. Irv Hare is performing in front of a full house, and Irv Hare is pointing in the cockpit. I don't know exactly what's going on, probably to a corner worker saying, hey, tell Akers to get out of the way. I'm the race leader. Irv Hare trying to get the corner worker to make room for him. Lots of thousands of people watching Irv Hare perform here in 6th place on this final lap. We can tell you is Akers, 7th is Durhag, 8th is Sobey, 9th is Les Lindley, and 10th is Tony Brosso. But there is the race leader, Irv Hare, apparently headed for win number 1 of 1990.
Yes, it's going to be fantastic if Irv can win this. He just has a few more turns to go, and he's let you know, Akers pull away from him. He's taking his time. He wants to win this and finish this lap.
He must have been signaling to Akers, not a corner worker, saying, hey, I'm not going to put any pressure on you because I don't want anything to happen. He's given a great deal of distance between himself and the 6th running Wayne Akers. through the S's on the north end for the last time. Here comes Irv Hare. He's got one more left-hander to make. He moves onto the taxiway at the Addison, Texas airport. And Irv Hare coming up next in the white, red, and blue trim, number 15 Oldsmobile, is going to win for the first time this season. Irv Hare is a winner in Texas. And we remind you, the man who has won the Texas race the last 2 years has gone on to be champion.
This is now we see second position. Tommy Kennel's coming in and has driven a great race with 2 pit stops. You know, what would have happened if he only had one?
And we're anticipating seeing Paul Gentilossi. Gentilossi should come home in third position. And Paul Gentilossi on the brakes. He is slowing down. Now here comes Max Jones very quickly. Gentilossi, he's got to realize that's fourth place coming up. Max, he goes for it. And somehow Gentilossi, out of fuel or with engine problems or something, he was on the brakes, Desiree, coming out of that final turn. He just barely held on to third place.
Yeah, something must have happened to the car, and he just wanted to get across that line, and he realized that he had to get out the way of everybody else. And but gee, wasn't he just lucky that Max couldn't just get by him that last few yards?
So Paul Gentilossi comes home third place, but it was a photo finish. We're looking at a very fatigued Paul Gentilossi. We'll be back with more from Addison, Texas after this. There is Irv Hare. He is headed for victory lane. He comes to a halt. Our Rick DeBrule is standing by.
Oh, Irv Hare was so excited, he just went ahead and went on past where they wanted him to stop. Congratulations.
Yeah, I was going clear to the end of the pit lane there. I'll tell you what, that's one of the hardest races I've ever run. You know, Paul Gentilossi ran just fast enough that I couldn't never let up the whole race. And Darren, when he was in there, and Tommy, not much I could do. I had to run up until about the last 4 or 5 laps. I was just running flat out. And after running that escort race this morning, with the humidity the way it is right now, I'll tell you what, that's a job.
Irv Hare, the winner here in Dallas.
Our second place driver, Tom Kendall, has had an odyssey today of a race. Here's Rick.
Well, Tommy Kendall, this is the race that might have been. What happened on that lap?
I clipped the inside wall on the chicane a little bit. There were 1,120 corners during the course of this race, and I negotiated 1,119 properly. And, you know, you just can't let up. Irv did them all. And, you know, considering that, having to stop for that tire, coming from 6th place, you know, all in all, I think we're just happy to have the points lead. And as well as in the Manufacturers Championship. You know, the Berettas, we're going to win some races. I think everyone knows that. Today wasn't our day.
Tommy Kendall finishing in 2nd place.
So Irv Hare wins for the first time in 1990. Your thoughts, Desiree?
Oh, just so good for Irv and Oldsmobile, who've been trying, you know, 3 times this year. And, of course, Tommy Kendall comes home second, the bridesmaid again.
Here's the unofficial order of the top 10. Hare, Kendall, Paul Gentilossi, the number 2 car of Max Jones, and Wayne Pickering is 5th. Akers is 6th, Durhog 7th, Lindley 8th, Bob Sobey 9th, and Tony Brosso 10th. The next race on Prime Network will be through the streets of downtown Detroit. So the Trans Am Big City Concert Tour moves to the Motor City. For Rick DeBrule and Desiree Wilson, this is Larry Newbert. We'll see you then.